runs. Let's see if I can not fuck up and get out with some shit. Yeah, that's the goal right now. Damn, they're saying, oh shit, Luca Cannon and Big U set up PNB Rock to be killed. Damn, that's crazy.
That's a mistake that everybody make when it comes down to checking in. Is either you checking in to get set up and get robbed, or you checking in to get killed. If you got that, just the rules of the streets in LA. It's like people think Beverly Hills is so far away, but the hood is only like 10, 15 minutes away.
Seen it happen to Pop Smoke, and then I seen PNB Rocky.
The crazy part about it is I was at Roscoe's when it happened. But
damn, son, you got the first.
He stood on his business, but then it ultimately cost his life.
All right, man. So today we got Loose Cannon, right? Loose Cannon was wrapped up in that big rolling 60s RICO indictment that seen Big U, Loose, Brick Baby, and a bunch of other people being arrested a few days ago. And we got Loose kind of making headlines today with people saying that he has implicated not only himself, but also Big U in the murder and robbery of PNB Rock. Now, if you guys remember, PNB Rock was murdered back on September the 12th, 2022, while he was in LA visiting Roscoe's Chicken and Waffle. Apparently, two people approached him while he was in a restaurant. They demanded that he take the chains off of his neck. PNB refused, and so they shot and killed him. Now, a father and son duo were actually implicated and arrested for this crime right here. And for most people, when that arrest was announced, it marked the end of the story. But we are seeing this story have a resurgence online thanks to Loose Cannon, because Loose Cannon has extremely loose lips. And with the RICO indictment that just came out against Big U, it's got a lot of people reading over the details and looking back on things that Loose Cannon has said in the past. For example, the clip that I played at the beginning, you can hear Loose Cannon say, I was actually at that Roscoe's Chicken and Waffles when the entire thing went down, which is highly suspicious because we know, based on the paperwork in that complaint that was filed against Big U and everybody, that at one point in time, Loose Cannon kind of worked as an enforcer for Big U. He was the muscle. In the indictment, there are several instances of them talking about Loose Cannon robbing people on behalf of Big U so that they could then extort those people for the things Loose Cannon robbed them for. This is backed up by Loose Cannon throughout numerous interviews that he's done throughout the years, where he basically says, yeah, I was working with Big U. Yeah, I was robbing people. Yeah, we was extorting people. Loose has admitted to this on camera in the past. Well, at some point in time, Loose Cannon, Big U, they have a falling out. And Loose Cannon started to make it a point to speak out against Big U, mostly when he was doing interviews with Whack 100, like the time they were on No Jumper. And Loose Cannon pretty much said that Big U had Nipsey Hussle killed. He said that he knows that because Big U had actually called his phone prior to Nipsey Hussle dying and told him that Nipsey Hussle was dead. He said he called Nipsey Hussle. Nipsey was still alive. They got off the phone, and a few minutes later, somebody killed Nipsey. So Loose's whole thing was, how would Big U know that Nipsey was about to die if he didn't have something to do with it? That's one example of Loose speaking out against Big U since they had their falling out. But it's not anything new. Since then, he has on multiple occasions called Big U out and spoke on their prior business dealings.
Big U, sweetie pie, you got the Diddy effect going on now. You see how you had all those people riding with you, and then the allegations came out, and then the facts came out? Sweetheart, now everybody is not doing nothing and saying nothing and sticking up. Where's Spider Loke at? Where is Brick Baby at? Where is all these minions that you had coming out for? Oh, it was a cold weekend for you. Listen, you talking about all this other stuff, trying to change your life. You can't change your life. What in the dark must come to the light, sweetheart. It don't matter what you did. It could be 20 years from now. Bill Cosby went to jail. R. Kelly went to jail. P. Diddy about to go to jail. You're not exempt.
P. Diddy definitely going to jail.
So as you can see, Loose Cannon ended up not being such a big fan of Big U. He even gave him the name Big Useless and Big Uterus, right? Well, today, like I said, he's kind of making a little bit of headlines because there is this clip right here going viral of Loose Cannon doing an interview where he speaks on this situation about PNB Rock and him and Big U actually being at the scene of the crime when PNB Rock was killed.
Insane.
Now, the guy who posted this, Chicago Ghetto 3, he wrote a caption on here that says Loose Cannon admits him and Big U robbed and killed Philly rapper PNB Rock over his jewelry. And I just want to say that's not necessarily what Loose Cannon says in this clip. He doesn't say that we're the ones responsible for PNB Rock and what happened to him, but what he does say is that we were on location. We were there. And I think given the history of Big U that has recently been exposed in this complaint or this indictment, I think that this information is super relevant right now. And given the history of Big U having people robbed so that he could then extort them after it went down, and knowing that Loose Cannon at this point in time when PNB Rock died was like an enforcer for Big U, I think that it kind of sheds a new light on what may have went down. Right, y'all listen to this clip.
Rock got killed in the
Roscoe's. Yeah, so I felt it was like super messed up because at the end of the day, it was me and Big Useless in there when it happened.
Yeah,
So when it happened, I wish I could have just told him like, bro, just give up the jury and we get it back to you later. But it just happened so fast and he wasn't cooperating. And that's when they took it off of him by force. You get what I'm saying?
Let's go straight to Building 21.
What do you say to a person who won't give up their jury when something like that's happening?
No, give it up and then check in with the real people. So we're going to find a jury and we're going to get it because we know all the pawn shops, we know all the people that's going to melt it down and everything like that. So as soon as it comes on their table, we got it. Get it, go in that back room, make that phone call, put them on the phone. That's how it works.
So if you listen to what Loose Cannon is saying, he's saying, nah, bro, if you get robbed in LA, what you need to do is give it up and then check in with the real people so we can get it back for you. And we know because we just read the indictment the other day that this is the exact activity that Big U was exhibiting. This is the exact activity that Loose Cannon was taking part in. This is exactly what they had going on. And I think the wording that Loose Cannon used in this situation in particular is kind of telling, right? You need to give it up. You need to check in with the right people. We can get it back for you. This is how their extortion racket worked. Now, he doesn't say, like the title of that video says, he doesn't say that they did it, but he does say that they were on scene. They were in the location. And what do you guys think the odds are of Big U, somebody that is running a racket like this, and Loose Cannon, somebody that is enforcing this racket? What do you think the chances are that they just happen to randomly be at this exact restaurant at the exact time that PNB Rock was there and while he was being robbed for his things? I'm not gonna say this proves that they were involved, but I'm gonna say that this is a very substantial coincidence. Yeah, that's what I'm rolling with, a substantial coincidence. Now, another thing that I found interesting about this whole situation is I actually found a clip from an interview that PNB did with Bootleg Kev where they actually discussed these kind of robberies happening in LA, and PNB Rock said that they had tried to do this to him multiple times before the time that ended in him losing his life, right? And I thought that that was interesting to say the least.
There's some Grand Theft Auto shit going on right now.
Fuck, bro, you seen that shit where a nigga just walked up on
in the restaurant?
And yeah, bro, that shit was goofy to me.
Me and my wife keep it super low key, but I tell my wife when we go out to eat, I'm like, leave it. She got a big ass wedding ring. I'm like, leave that shit at the crib. I don't even want to have to.
I feel you though, bro. You don't want, unless you're gonna move around with security, you don't want to have to do that.
What are you? 100%
right. Me like that shit be ass, bro.
People are targets out here, and especially
tried me out here a couple times. You feel me? Like I ain't gonna lie, that shit don't never work. You feel me? I be too on point. Like I'm from the same shit y'all trying to do. I done did this shit. You feel me? Like I done.
You're ready for that kind of.
Fuck yeah, bro. Yeah. I be on it. You feel me?
A lot of people need to understand when they come to LA.
Don't think this shit a joke. Yeah, this
this
is Hollywood and all that.
Yeah, but like, yo, man, leave your fucking jewelry in the hotel room, or just leave it at home. Like, there's no reason for you to be moving around with $100,000 worth of jewelry.
And if you're gonna do that shit, bro, be safe.
Yeah, man, crazy situation, but that's what we got. Loose Cannon said that he was in the building when the situation with PNB Rock went down, and I find that detail to be highly suspect because he also says Big U was in attendance as well, which is crazy considering all the information we just learned about Big U. But man, that's what we got. That's the video. Y'all gotta let me know what y'all think about this in the comments down below. Anyways, that's basically it for the video, guys. If you enjoyed the content, be sure to hit the like button, subscribe, tap the notification bell so you get notified every time I upload a video. As always, it's been fun rocking with y'all, man. I'm out.
Nice.
Let me just bring this fucking Finnick. This thing's a fucking retard. What's that stupid ass chihuahua, man? Dude, chihuahuas are like the worst dogs ever, man.
In the heart of California's punk scene, a band emerged that would redefine the genre and challenge the music industry's status quo. Rancid, formed by Tim Armstrong and Matt Freeman, rose from the ashes of Operation Ivy, a ska punk band that electrified the 924 Gilman Street scene. With their unique blend of punk aggression and ska rhythms, Rancid captured the spirit of rebellion and authenticity that defined the era. As they navigated the allure of major labels, including Madonna going to some pretty extreme lengths to sign with her own label, Rancid became the beacon for those who didn't believe in being signed to a major label. If you guys want me to do more punk stories, let me know which bands you'd like to see me cover in the comment section below. Before we get started, be sure to hit the bell notification icon and put all notifications on. I hear from a lot of my subscribers that they don't even get notifications when I post my videos. I would greatly appreciate if you guys did that. Our story begins with Rancid frontman and guitarist Tim Armstrong, who grew up in Albany, California, and he was the youngest of three brothers. Located just north of Berkeley, Albany is a lower middle-class sleepy town. Despite living in a house that Armstrong's mother inherited from her own father, his family was poor. Armstrong's dad, an alcoholic, worked as a maintenance man, but his addiction resulted in him losing his job. His mother worked at a local cookie factory, and she became the sole breadwinner. Tim and his brother Jeff would hang out at the local 7-Eleven, where they were introduced to the local punk scene by kids who loitered outside. Influenced by the likes of the Specials, Ramones, The Clash, Dead Kennedys, as well as the Circle Jerks, Armstrong formed his first band with his older brother Greg. Greg later went on to serve in the U.S. Army. Tim Armstrong became friends with Matt Freeman, who also grew up in Albany. This was way before Rancid's formation. Armstrong and Freeman quickly bonded over skateboarding and their love of punk rock. Freeman admitted to the Flint Journal that he got into punk when he was just 14, remarking, "It was the whole scene that turned me on. I was always a freak when I was a kid. It was an escape. I was not good at sports. I was a little short fat kid who growing up would get picked on." He soon traded his trumpet and trombone that he played in school for a bass guitar. Armstrong and Freeman's first musical collaboration came in 1987 with Operation Ivy, which also included their friends Jesse Michaels on lead vocals and Dave Mello on drums. Operation Ivy, a ska punk band, became the cornerstone of the 924 Gilman Street scene, also known as the Gilman Street Project. Gilman Street is a cooperative-run project that is an all-ages venue that is a cornerstone of the Bay Area's punk scene. Within a few years, Operation Ivy became one of the most popular bands of the scene, with Lookout Records owner Larry Livermore telling Rolling Stone, "They were so exciting and had so much energy that I knew if I ever put out a record that Operation Ivy would be it." By 1988, Livermore established Lookout Records, who signed the group, issuing their sole album, Energy, in 1989. But it was the same year that Operation Ivy broke up. The pressure that came with the success spelled the end for the group. Armstrong remarked, "People got a little jealous. We all started off playing shows in garages and backyards, and then we just got huge. But a lot of the other Gilman Street bands stayed at this one level." Adding to the problems was Armstrong's destructive personal habits. As he told the LA Times, "I was really messing up. I couldn't hold anything together like a job or a band." It was following Operation Ivy coming to an end that Armstrong was continuing to do drugs and drink, while also trying to form several new outfits with Freeman, including Downfall and Generator. Armstrong by 1991 had OD'd at least 3 times and burnt most of his bridges. He ended up seeking help at least half a dozen times, spending time at different detox houses, and he cited his troublesome childhood with an alcoholic father as being responsible for his underlying issues. Armstrong soon found peace by working and living at the Salvation Army, where he collected furniture as well as clothing. He added to the LA Times, "I ended up in the Salvation Army, the last bottom line. I lived there. They gave me a bed, and I'd get up in the morning and work there all day." Sober for about 2 weeks, by August of 1991, he called up Freeman telling him he wanted to form a new band. Freeman was now working at a truck rental company and told Rolling Stone, "Whether we played together or not, he was still my friend." Then, as fate sort of handed it, me and Tim got Rancid together. Tim was in a dark place. Starting a new band was a way to keep him focused on something positive. They soon recruited a 17-year-old drummer named Brett Reed, forming Rancid initially as a trio. Reed was an interesting pick to join the group considering he wasn't a very experienced drummer by this point in his life. But he was a regular at Gilman Street, and he had an undeniable chemistry with both Armstrong and Freeman. Within a week or so, Rancid played their first show. Lookout Records agreed to release the band's first 7-inch and their self-titled EP in 1992. A turning point came when Brett Gurwitz, guitarist for Bad Religion and founder of Epitaph Records, who was a major fan of Operation Ivy, signed the group in 1993. He hadn't heard any of the band's music yet, recalling to Rolling Stone, "I didn't even have to hear anything. I told Tim that I was such a fan of Operation Ivy that whatever his next project was, I would love to do it." The label, then a boutique punk operation, provided creative freedom, but they also had limited resources. As Armstrong noted, "We weren't thinking about careers. We just wanted to make records our friends would like." By April of 1993, Epitaph issued Rancid's self-titled debut album. The band soon expanded to a 4-piece, reaching out to a friend Billy Joe Armstrong of Green Day to be the group's second guitarist for a few rehearsals and a show at Gilman Street. Liking the expanded sound, the band soon enlisted former UK Subs member Lars Frederiksen. But Frederiksen was almost booted from the band before even playing a show with them. While attending a performance by Green Day, he exposed himself to the audience after a night of heavy drinking. Frederiksen, like Armstrong, dealt with his own drug and alcohol addictions, citing Rancid as saving his life. Born in Denmark, Frederiksen moved to the US because his mother was a nanny looking after the children of wealthy New Yorkers, including actor Gene Kelly. Frederiksen was later raised just outside of San Jose in the town of Campbell. He grew up with an absent father and soon dropped out of high school. He did, however, find a fatherly figure in his older brother's friend, who, according to Rolling Stone, and I quote, had this huge red mohawk with leopard skin sides. It was this friend who introduced him to punk groups like Crass, Discharge, and Subhumans. He remarked to Rolling Stone, "I was 11 years old and these bands were screaming like it's Armageddon, but at the same time, I was taking in all the stuff about nuclear war and who's president and who Margaret Thatcher is and what a totalitarian system is." To secure a rehearsal space, Rancid struck a deal with Gilman Street's Co-op. They got a free rehearsal space in exchange for cleaning the notoriously filthy bathrooms after weekend shows. Fredrickson described the aftermath to Spin. The stench in the women's bathroom on a Sunday morning was bad enough to make Matt lose his breakfast at least once. Rancid had to clean that up too. Apart from their music, they also, of course, worked day jobs. Armstrong worked at different pizza shops, while Freeman delivered goods in a van. He remarked taking pride in parking in front of BMWs to piss off yuppies. The buzz around the band seemed to swell by 1994 when Epitaph issued their sophomore effort, Let's Go. The album eventually went gold, peaking at number 97 on the Billboard 200 chart. There was even press reports that Rancid had a bigger fan base than Green Day did prior to them signing a major recording contract. By the time Green Day signed with Reprise Records in 1993, it was estimated that they had sold about 20,000 copies of their albums, while Rancid was said to have done about 5 times that amount by 1994. The group's single Salvation from Let's Go peaked at number 21 on the Modern Rock Tracks chart and got MTV airplay, which of course drew the attention of major labels eager to capitalize on punk's resurgence thanks to groups like The Offspring as well as Green Day.
Since I had answered. Hold on. Well, drop that shit. There we go.
In fact, virtually every A&R guy from all the major labels visited Rancid during their tour with The Offspring. Even rock radio could feel the momentum around this time. The LA Times interviewed K-Rock's music director, a woman named Lisa Worden, who added, "With Green Day all over MTV and the mainstream, Rancid is the cool new band. All the kids are wearing Rancid shirts." The band at one point were being courted by Madonna's label Maverick Records, who were coming off the huge success of Candlebox's debut record. Maverick was offering Rancid a lucrative deal that was later described by Rancid as, and I quote, "life-changing money we never imagined." Armstrong added to the Oakland Tribune, "We met Madonna at Roseland in New York. Then a couple days later, she sent us a nude Polaroid with a note attached that said, 'Please sign with Maverick Records.' They ended up turning the offer down." Epic Records, meanwhile, had an executive named Michael Goldstone, who had famously signed Pearl Jam and Rage Against the Machine. He aggressively courted Rancid as well. With the deal on the verge of being signed with Epic Records, the band went as far as going to Goldstone's Manhattan apartment, and in honor of their friendship and potential deal, they dyed the A&R man's hair blue. But as the news started to trickle out and leak about the band signing with a major label, Rancid started to have second thoughts, and they were worried about being labeled as sellouts by their friends and fans. If they signed with Epic Records, they would be barred from performing at Gilman Street, much like Green Day were, because the club didn't showcase bands who were signed to major labels. Even before the group was about to sign with Epic, it was already being widely reported in the press that the deal had in fact been signed. This created some bad feelings between Epitaph and Epic Records in the press, with Brett Gurewitz blaming the majors for poaching his bands. By December of '94, Rancid were entertaining a $1.5 million 7-year deal with Epic that came with a $500,000 publishing contract. Then managers and sleazy industry people started hovering around the group, with Freeman telling Rolling Stone, "We got made to feel that we were evil for even talking to these people." He added to the San Francisco Examiner, "In New York, the labels were all over us. People said if you dropped a bomb on our New York show last October, you would have crippled the record industry." The band was an hour away from signing with Epic Records before they ultimately changed their mind. They opted to stay with Epitaph, and Armstrong admitted his mother even thought he was stupid for turning down the offer. So what made the group reconsider? Well, Armstrong told Spin, "So what happened was that Brett flew up, had lunch with me and Matt, and told us that no matter what happened, he loved us. He loved us. Suddenly staying at Epitaph seemed to be the right thing to do. Brett loved us, and that's what it came down to." Gurewitz, meanwhile, assured the band that they would have more creative freedom on his label and that he could sell more copies of their records than the majors could. I mean, Epitaph did release The Offspring Smash, which went on to sell 11 million copies worldwide, making it the biggest selling independent album of all time. Even though the band opted to stay on Epitaph, they were still getting a ton of attention ahead of releasing their much anticipated third record. Rancid's manager, who also managed The Offspring during this time, told the LA Times, "Green Day and The Offspring are aberrations. I loved when Nirvana broke. The people at Geffen said, we don't know what happened, but we tried to maximize it. That's very astute. What Rancid has to do is go out and be the best Rancid they can be. That means our goal is to simply do better than the last record." Despite the group getting a massive amount of press attention, the members didn't want to make a huge deal out of the Gilman Street scene. They were worried it could become a hotspot for record label talent scouts. In fact, Armstrong detested how some people were using any connection to the Berkeley scene they could to market themselves. He told the Oakland Tribune, "If you put out a 7-inch that says Berkeley on the label, it sells. That's not what it's about. The underground is more than just music and attitude, and I don't feel comfortable listening to music that doesn't share the same attitude and sense of culture that I do." Released on August 22nd, 1995, Epitaph issued Rancid's highly anticipated third record, And Out Come the Wolves. The album's name was coined by the Basketball Diaries author Jim Carroll, who spent some time with the group in the studio. It perfectly captured the predatory nature of the music industry that the band had witnessed over the past year. Carroll even co-wrote and appeared on the track Junkie Man. Rancid enlisted producer Jerry Finn, who had also worked with Green Day and Pennywise. And Out Come the Wolves fused punk aggression with ska rhythms and pop hooks. Fredrickson told the Record Journal, "The last two records were really hard, fast records, but this time we're mixing things up. Ska, punk, and reggae all have the same feel, the same soul, and we all just love music." The 19-song track list was inspired by the members' own experiences. Journey to the End of the East Bay tells the story of Operation Ivy. Tracks like Maxwell Murder, The 11th Hour, Junkie Man, and Listed MIA deal with the alienated, young, and disenfranchised youth. Olympia, Washington, meanwhile, documents Armstrong's stormy relationship with Toby Vale of the Riot Girl band Bikini Kill, with him remarking, "I kind of fell in love with her. Then we had an argument and now we're just friends." Armstrong cited the song Daly City Train being the most personal song on the record since it was written about a friend who died due to drugs. But Armstrong was quick to point out that he was no role model to kids, telling the LA Times, "I'll tell you what happened to me and write songs about my friends, but I ain't no expletive role model. How could I be?" He added, "I don't think drugs are bad. I don't think drinking is bad. I just think if you're going to die from it, you might want to stop." And Out Come the Wolves peaked at number 45 on the Billboard 200 chart and went gold within 5 months, eventually moving over 1 million copies in the US. Critics praised its balance of accessibility and authenticity. 3 singles, Ruby Soho, Time Bomb, and Roots Radicals, dominated alternative radio. Ruby Soho peaked at number 11 on the Billboard Modern Rock Tracks chart. Interestingly enough, Vampire Weekend actually covered the song during a live session for the BBC. Time Bomb, meanwhile, peaked at number 8 on the Modern Rock Tracks chart. And the song is about Eric Hogan, a good friend of the band, particularly Tim Armstrong, who used to own American Graffiti Tattoo. He was murdered by Hell's Angels, supposedly for sleeping with one of the gang members' wives. The single Roots Radicals peaked at number 27 on the same chart. MTV's heavy rotation and even a Saturday Night Live performance in 1995 only amplified the group's reach. Rancid's label Epitaph was having a moment, having brought in over $100 million in just a few years thanks to The Offspring and, of course, Rancid. Despite their success, Rancid managed to avoid the trappings of fame. They continued playing mid-sized venues, with Fredrickson arguing, "Arenas disconnect you from the crowd. We'd rather sweat with 1,000 fans than play to 10,000 strangers." Along with Green Day and The Offspring, Rancid became part of the punk revival of the mid-90s. The band's critics, however, claimed they were too similar to The Clash, but Armstrong answered back telling Spin, "The Clash were a great band and I love them dearly, but dude, we've created our own fucking thing." There was even a profile written in the LA Times where Joe Strummer's manager revealed to the members of Rancid that the former Clash members' favorite band was Rancid, something that delighted the members. Rancid had also noticed that the crowds had changed since they started the band. Freeman told the Flint Journal, "The crowd has changed. There are a lot more kids there. The scene has now blown up. There's like a lot of regular kids there. It's more accessible now, especially with Green Day and The Offspring. It was hard to find punk in 1985. Rancid's decision to stay on Epitaph proved pivotal for independent music. And Brett Gurwitz would remark on Rancid during this period in their career, stating, "They showed punk could thrive without the majors. That changed everything." That does it for today's video, guys. Thanks for watching. We'll see you again in Rock and Roll True Stories. Take care.
Fuck, I'm gonna go to Koshi, I guess. Fuck it. Man, I'm tired.
All of us have some celebrity or artist that we adore and look up to. After all, it's only human nature to throw ourselves into cliquey fandoms we associate with. But what happens when we cross that line between devoutly following our favorite artists and warping our love for them into an obsessive delusion? Many such fandoms will cultivate a pure social infatuation with their celebrity idols. And in rare cases, this mindset can have disastrous consequences for the artists. Cases of tragedies befalling stars are becoming disturbingly prevalent in the modern entertainment sphere. Oftentimes, artists will, either accidentally or intentionally, feed this behavior and reap the extensive benefits of a devout fanbase supporting them no matter what. But seeing these niches from an outside perspective, the public frequently jumps to accusations of these stan groups being akin to cult followings. And there are even some stars who let their fans' rituals fuel their ego and come to see themselves as a godlike figure, going as far to actually indoctrinate their stans into a real-life cult. But before we jump into the video, please feel free to hit that like button and join my cult. Also, remember to touch that subscribe button. It really helps out the channel and doesn't cost you anything. Anyways, back to the video.
Sketchy.
Born Jared Joseph Leto in the waning days of 1971, Leto grew up in Louisiana to an already broken home with his older brother Shannon and his mother Constance, being abandoned by his father when the boys were still very young. When Jared was only 8 years old, his father remarried and had 2 more kids before unexpectedly taking his own life. Normally, this would have weighed heavily on the Leto family, but Constance quickly remarried to her second husband, Carl Leto, who brought his last name and an entire family of 2 sons and adopted daughter with him. Their marriage, however, quickly fell apart, and Carl filed for divorce from her, leaving Constance as a single mother to raise Jared and Shannon without any of the money she needed to support them. This left the family constantly struggling financially, and at the age of 12, Jared had to get a job as a dishwasher at the local diner, working for $2 an hour to pay their bills and save up for his dream of buying a new guitar. Due to his mother's involvement in the growing hippie movement, the Letos lived a pretty nomadic lifestyle, never quite settling in one place, and being raised among a constant circle of friends who worked as musicians, actors, photographers, and such. Throughout much of his childhood, Jared grew up surrounded by these artists, leading him to develop an interest in art and creative pursuits early on. And although he usually did well enough academically, he was expelled from public school in his sophomore year of high school and finished his education at the private Emerson Preparatory School. Along with his streak of bad behavior, petty theft became a common practice for him and his brother, both kids working together to steal Coke bottles and boxes of chocolates. Jared was also fired from working at a movie theater because he had a bad habit of selling weed out the back door.
I actually worked at a movie theater when I was a kid, and I got fired for selling weed out the back door.
After graduating high school, Jared enrolled in the University of Arts in Philadelphia to study painting before realizing he was more interested in cinematography and filmmaking. He then transferred to the School of Visual Arts in Manhattan, where he directed, wrote the script for, and played the lead role in his first short film project, called Cry and Joy. In 1992, with only a backpack and around $300 to his name, Leto moved to Los Angeles, determined to pursue his dreams of becoming a Hollywood director. Starting his climb to the director's chair, he spent his time knocking onto the doors of various studios until he finally landed his first small role in the TV sitcom Camp Wilder. A year after the series ended, Jared caught his breakout role as Jordan Catalano in My So-Called Life, the drama TV show where he portrayed the main love interest, cementing his early status as a heartthrob for every teenage girl of the time. It didn't take long for Jared to become an international sex symbol, and for 2 years in a row in 1996 and 97, Leto was included in People's Magazine's list of the 50 most beautiful people in the world. After the massive success of My So-Called Life, Jared starred alongside Alicia Silverstone in the 1994 indie movie Cool and Crazy, and a year later he appeared in the film How to Make an American Quilt, with Elle Bernstein and Winona Ryder. He also played the title role in the movie The Last of the High Kings, playing a 17-year-old kid who just failed his school exams and decided to cut loose on summer vacation. Then, in 1997, Leto got the main role as Steve Prefontaine in a biopic about the sports legend's life. Now, he method acted for this part, training extensively, running long marathons to get into character, and altering his voice so accurately to the athletes that Steve's sister broke down into tears hearing the actor's voice at the pre-premiere screening. Although his method acting in this movie was relatively tame, though physically demanding for the actor, it foreshadowed his dependence on the system, which would quickly become controversial. If you're somehow unfamiliar with the practice of method acting, the technique was first formulated in Moscow at the beginning of the 20th century by Russian theater director Konstantin Stanislavski, leading to its name being traditionally known as the Stanislavski system. This system serves as a way for professional actors to combine the inner and outer theatrical sense of self by physically embodying the experiences of their characters as much as possible. Stanislavski also founded the legendary Moscow Art Theater and wrote down his manuals on the controversial process he developed throughout his career. Prior to his death in 1938, many regarded his acting roles and teachings as incredibly effective, highlighting his outstanding character acting talent. Others were more critical of the method, with concern being raised over the psychological impact his practices had on the actors who implemented them. But as divided as the sentiment around method acting was, his technique became very influential, with successive generations nominating him along Einstein and Freud as one of the three true visionaries of the century. Much of Hollywood also looks upon Stanislavski's teachings favorably, advertising the lengths actors go to for their movie roles. And although many actors do genuinely use method acting to help get into the minds of their characters, the media tends to embellish the actual extremes that the actors go to, preferring to promote an often dangerous process as a selling point for modern films. All of this is used as an ad to help stir up hype for a movie's release. But just as his hippie mother indulged her interest in many different flavors and forms of art, Jared's creative lust wasn't satisfied by his acting pursuits, and he still dreamt of playing rock and roll. By 1998, Leto and his brother Shannon had formed a full-fledged rock band and performed their first few shows under several names, before settling on the moniker 30 Seconds to Mars, a name they derived from a mysterious rare transcript known as the Argus Apocryphex, In this elusive work, it's believed that a Harvard scientist speculated that rapidly developing technology would soon allow humanity to overcome the distance from Earth to Mars within 30 seconds. While the band worked diligently putting together their debut record, they played several smaller concerts at various bars and clubs, and these early performances attracted the interest of record labels looking to sign them. Perhaps unusually, the band decided to not use any bodyguards, the only caveat to this unspoken agreement being when the terms of their contract from the tour organizers dictated that they must. Leto insisted that this promoted a better relationship between them and their fans, allowing for close communication and a greater sense of community. But, for reasons you might have already guessed, there is a good rationale why even the most beloved celebrities adopt a security detail for themselves. And 30 Seconds to Mars's no security policy did result in some physical altercations between the band members and their fans. Namely, a particularly impassioned fan breaking Jared's nose at one of their concerts in Texas. Despite this and countless other examples of violence, the band opted not to change their stance on this for whatever reason. None of these musical endeavors kept Leto from diving into new acting roles, though, and within that same year he starred in the historical drama Basil, the detective horror urban legend, and got an appearance in the Terrence Malick-directed Thin Red Line. The following year, in 1999, Leto played Angel Face in David Fincher's popular movie adaptation of the scandalous 1996 novel Fight Club. Continuing his run of classics, he appeared in American Psycho and Requiem for a Dream, both in 2000. Requiem for a Dream saw him take the role of the protagonist, a struggling heroin addict from Brooklyn, and once more he turned to method acting to get into character, losing 28 pounds and hanging out with real heroin addicts, living on the streets of New York and for the duration of the filming, refusing any sexual contact for the role. The same year, Jared played an energetic country rocker in Sunset Strip, a comedic drama centered around the rock and roll of the 70s. This film, though it flopped, imitated Jared's own lust for a life of rock glamour. In 2001, 30 Seconds to Mars traveled all the way to rural Wyoming to work with legendary producer Bob Ezrin, who'd previously collaborated with the likes of Alice Cooper, Deep Purple, Pink Floyd, and Kiss to record their debut album. Despite Jared's already famous face fronting the band, the album's release was met with very little fanfare, and went almost entirely ignored. Continuing his previous work with director David Fincher, Leto appeared in his 2002 film Panic Room. He also worked in an indie crime drama called Highway in the same year. This busyness with on-screen work kept him from being able to polish the band's album, and in 2004, his role in the movie Alexander conflicted with the schedule of recording 30 Seconds to Mars's sophomore album. See, Jared couldn't skip the shooting of the scenes, nor could the band postpone the record's release any longer than they already had, so he tried his best to do both simultaneously. As a result, the recording of the album ended up spanning 4 different continents, since the movie's filming required shooting in multiple countries. Alexander boasted an impressive budget and a star-studded cast, but didn't perform well at the box office and never received any Oscar nominations, making it a colossal failure for everyone involved. Compounding this failure, local Greek activists were outraged by the film's depiction of the homosexual relationship between Leto's character Hephaestion and Alexander the Great, even though Alexander's bisexuality was already confirmed in historical records. Nevertheless, the actress took the heat for this public outcry, and the movie's screening took place in a limited circle for Greek viewers. But the band forged on through these setbacks, and in 2005, 30 Seconds to Mars released their second album, A Beautiful Lie, which, unlike the cerebral tones of their first record, favored a more heartfelt and personal approach to the lyrics. An approach that drove the album to international success, reaching platinum status in the US and gold in several European countries. This album also gave birth to their biggest song to date, The Kill, which instantly blew up and soared to the top of the charts. For those who weren't around to experience it back in the late 2000s and 2010s, The Kill was basically inescapable, dominating every convenience store and alternative radio station. We had like a decade where you really couldn't go anywhere without having this song aggressively drilled into your consciousness. Accompanying the single, the band put out an incredible music video inspired by The Shining, which garnered numerous awards for its cinematography. Off the success of Kill, 30 Seconds to Mars propelled themselves into the public eye, and launched the quite fruitful Welcome to the Universe tour in support of the album. And this tour set the precedent for their energetic and relentless performance schedule, which in 2011 earned them the Guinness World Record for the maximum number of shows during an album cycle. Unfortunately for Leto, this sudden rise to new heights of fame brought increased scrutiny on the band members and their personal lives, and it did not take long for tabloids to dig up dirt from the star's personal history. In September of 2005, the New York Post published an article detailing the predatory behavior of Jared Leto. The hit piece accused him of engaging inappropriately with his underage fans, claiming he'd been aggressively pursuing many of the teen models shacked up at the Maritime Hotel while his band was in town. Allegedly, he was frequently seen hitting on women too young for him, their source stating, "He's constantly texting these 16 and 7-year-old girls. It's really kind of creepy." Unsurprisingly, a tabloid article citing an anonymous source to promote baseless allegations wasn't viewed as very reliable, and the allegations went entirely ignored at the time. None of this newfound musical success turned Jared away from his acting career, though, and right after the release of his album, he appeared in Lord of War alongside Nicolas Cage, and the following year starting the crime drama Lonely Hearts with John Travolta and Salma Hayek. In 2007, Jared played the main character of Chapter 27, a film chronicling the life story of John Lennon's infamous killer, Mark David Chapman. To prepare for the role, he put himself on a specially tailored diet to gain almost 66 pounds. This diet was particularly difficult for him as a practicing vegan, and the excess weight had an extremely destructive impact on the actor's health. Leto contracted gout as a result of the diet, leaving him hardly able to move around the set for the film. And despite all the preparation and tribulations that went into the movie, it failed at the box office and was reviewed quite unfavorably by critics, outraging even Leto's most ardent fans, not to mention Beatles fans who were none too pleased about the promotion of the movie centered around their idol's murderer. Also in 2007, there was a bit of a scuffle between Leto and fellow actor Elijah Wood of Lord of Rings fame. When they were both attending the MTV Woody Awards in New York, Leto apparently came over to his table and began talking to him, whispering something in his ear before he walked away. After the exchange, Wood turned to his date and said something that apparently caused Leto to explode into a rage, storming back to the table, grabbing Wood by the neck and yelling at him, screaming at him that he was a fucking asshole, before Jared shoved him off and bodyguards started to arrive. The whole incident was assumed to have arisen from Leto taking offense to comments Wood made about him back in 2003, when Wood said to an interviewer, quote, "I would never try to be like other actors and attempt to make music myself. I mean, have you heard 30 Seconds to Mars? Fucking awful, man." Keep in mind, this was 4 years ago he said this at the time of the confrontation, but Jared was still evidently mad enough to beat him up for the insult. The spring of 2010 saw the release of sci-fi drama Mr. Nobody, in which Leto played the protagonist whose small decisions at crucial junctions in his life ended up splitting the story into several alternate realities that play out. Perhaps by coincidence, it's in one of these alternate timelines that sees the character visiting Mars, paralleling his own band's namesake. And all the hard work that was poured into this movie and its whole year of preparation prior to filming ultimately paid off, as critics praised Leto's performance and the film garnered numerous awards. After the success of this film, Leto finally took a break from acting to concentrate on playing music with his band, bringing the world their third studio album, This Is War, in late 2009. The recording process for this album saw 30 Seconds to Mars' dedicated fans assuming a bigger role in the band's success, directly contributing their musical talent to the album's recording. Basically, the band organized their own convention called The Summit, where they had fans supplement the album's production by recording their percussive claps and singing to accompany the chorus of one of the songs on the album, which was fittingly called Vox Populi, literally voice of the people in Latin. This fan participation established the record as an interactive love letter to the band's devoted supporters, but encouraging and validating their dedicated community of fans, fed a developing parasocial obsession between them and Leto. And it was through his music career with 30 Seconds to Mars that Jared was able to fulfill his childhood dream of becoming a director. Under the pseudonym Bartholomew Cubbins, Leto directed all of the band's music videos, elevating their cinematography to the point where many of them were almost short movies, complete with all the professional production and storylines of a genuine real film. This cinematic quality to the music videos made them stand out, earning the band several awards for their videos and allowing Leto to exercise his creativity with boundless freedom. However, this meant that often Leto's penchant for exploring darker, more graphic themes shone through, leading to some music videos getting banned, as was the case for their song Hurricane, which was banned by MTV in 2010 for violent and sexual content. But Leto still wanted to direct a full movie of his own, and in 2012 he finally got the chance to direct and produce Artifact with Emma Ludbrook. Once again, he operated under the pseudonym Bartholomew Cubbins to bring this documentary to life. I really don't know why he's so stuck on this Bartholomew Cubbins shit, like, we know it's you, bro. But anyways, Artifact was a documentary focused on revealing the band's struggles in the industry and the legal disputes with their record label. This film was very well received, winning numerous documentary awards and the undying praise of critics. In 2013, Jared decided to end his acting hiatus, returning to the big screen with his role as Rayon, the drug-addicted, HIV-infected trans woman in Dallas Buyers Club. Leto, along with co-star Matthew McConaughey, lost almost 45 pounds in just a year for their roles. Naturally, Leto went just a bit further though, putting himself on another diet where he would sometimes eat only half a cucumber and chew on shoe leather to satiate his hunger, because he was too starved from not eating anything. He dropped down to 116 pounds from his diet's food intake, or lack thereof, an insanely unhealthy transformation for the actor. Leto also shaved off all the hair on his eyebrows and the rest of his body in an effort to assume the female form as much as he possibly could without actually undergoing surgery. On top of the preparation he did for this part, he spent the whole duration of the filming in character, even going out in public fully dressed as Rayon. Upon release, the film did extremely well, but received criticism from LGBTQ activists, presenting Leto, a straight cisgender male playing a queer role. Never one to respond to the hate, Leto forged on, and the same year his band held a promotional contest for their upcoming album Love, Lust, Faith and Dreams, called The Sleepover, in which one of the lucky fans who entered would get to sleep in his bed with the actor himself.
Like, what the fuck?
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
Questionable contests aside, when the album released, it peaked at number 6 on the Billboard charts, and garnered generally positive reviews despite none of its songs reaching anywhere near the heights of the success experienced by The Kill. But The Sleepover was just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to Jared making some women feel uncomfortable. Now, many celebrities have a tendency to push buttons in interviews to make people feel awkward, so they can push someone's personal boundaries and feed their sick egos. Jared takes this behavior to the absolute extreme, though, sometimes straight up preying on the women interviewing him just to see if he can get a reaction out of them.
Me está agarrando la mano y me estoy muriendo.
Don't let go. Don't let go.
That's my trick. That's my trick.
Don't let go, please.
What's your sign? Do you know?
Leo.
Really?
What are you?
Hot.
Hot.
That's nice.
Let me guess.
Stegosaurus.
You really?
Yeah.
Badger?
No.
What?
But you're quite beautiful, by the way.
Thank you.
I just tell the truth. Long time. Can I squeeze your neck?
What turns me on? I would like to answer that by asking a question. What doesn't turn me on?
Leto does this because he's unfortunately way too aware of how drop-dead gorgeous he is, and uses his star power to mess with people. Him and other celebrities are never really challenged on this weird behavior, because when cameras are rolling, these interviewers must keep going and fulfill their job, even if they feel awkward or unsettled. That is, if they're not completely starstruck by being noticed by their idols, which just reinforces this type of behavior as acceptable. Stars like Jared are very aware of this and get off on fucking with people's heads, likely to make them feel a sense of power over them. Also in 2013, Leto purchased the rights to goofy old modeling photos of him from the My So-Called Life era, that he vocally despised, regardless of the impact it had on his career. After he went through the trouble of obtaining these photos, he sent threatening cease and desist letters to the few music journalists and fans who'd gotten hold of them to repost the photos. Why did he feel so enraged by these pictures to the point where he needed to attack everyone sharing silly photos of him from almost 2 decades ago? No one knows, but the waste of money stands as a testament to his narcissism and self-absorption. In 2014, it became publicly known that Leto was slated to play the role of the Joker in The Suicide Squad after Ryan Gosling refused the original offer for the role. Supposedly due to the gloomy, depressing nature of the movie, psychologists were hired specifically to hang around the set to take care of the actors and prevent them from going insane. Now, there was one actor who didn't take too kindly to the presence of mental health professionals who were telling him how to act. I'll give you 3 guesses to who that was. Yeah, it was Jared Leto. See, Jared did everything he could to play into the gloomy atmosphere of the set as part of his method acting. He deliberately put himself in a state of insanity, always staying in character or spending a night in a prison basement, and developing his own version of the Joker's iconic creepy laugh by walking the crowded streets, testing it out, just laughing creepily at everyone to get a feel for the character. But figuring that the Joker wasn't just a deranged schizo on his own, Leto realized that his character work had to include creeping out his castmates as well.
Oh yeah, I have a grenade launcher.
In later interviews, he retracted this and said it never happened, but at one point he stated he gave his castmates bullets, dead pigs, used condoms, anal beads, and even creepy love letters with flying rats in them.
Actually, I might
all
use
for
it
the
down there
character.
too.
When he walked these claims back later on, he attempted to pass off his strange gifts as jokes, given his role as the Joker. To what extent he behaved weirdly to his on-set colleagues, we may never truly know, but some of them said in interviews they were too afraid and creeped out to approach him. And with all of this work, you'd expect he'd bring a strong performance to the table, but his interpretation of the Joker is widely considered the worst, and despite being originally billed as the lead of the film, his character only spent about 10 minutes on the screen.
Well, to the people who want more Joker, I say, me too.
Yeah. Critics and viewers hated the film and in particular detested Leto's performance as the Joker. In many ways, this failure marked the beginning of the end for Leto. The roles never quite dried up, with him playing the mad scientist for the cyberpunk thriller remake Blade Runner 2049 in 2017. Meanwhile, 30 Seconds was working on their upcoming 5th studio album, America, which released the following year. The record was slightly more experimental, leaning more into a timely electronic art pop sound that propelled it to number 2 on the Billboard charts. This shift towards more pop-oriented soundscapes reflected the band's larger overall progression towards a more commercial approach to the music, making many old fans nostalgic for the edgier emo alt rock of their heyday. With the peak of both his acting and music efforts mostly over by 2019, Leto's participation in movies was becoming much more criticized and poorly received, as hate for the actor and the films he was in grew. And although he played substantial roles in movies like Little Things and Morbius, the quality of these films gradually worsened, and the public reactions reflected the slight downturn for the
I saw
actor.
Morbius, I heard it was terrible though.
Around the same time in 2021, Leto appeared in House of Gucci, where he was reported to have snorted lines of arrabbiata sauce in the middle of the scene. evidently as part of his method acting. Responding to these unusual choices, Leto was quoted as saying, "I'm an artist at the end of the day. If I do something risky and you don't like it, basically, you can kiss my ass." So far in this video, we've seen some instances of Jared's often bizarre behavior, even some situations where it seems like he goes a bit too far and crosses the line into predatory conduct. There was the questionable article from 2005, the eyebrow-raising sleepover contest. Even some strange interactions with interviewers, but as we're about to see, that's nothing compared to the stories about Jared with really, really young women. These more serious allegations started in 2014 when ex-porn star Vicky Marie Taylor came forward to say that back in 2002, while Leto was dating Cameron Diaz, she was performing in a strip club. According to Taylor, the band invited her and 3 other dancers backstage to give him and his brother Shannon dances. Allegedly, when she began to lap dance for Shannon, Jared grabbed her around the throat from behind and said to her, "I can reach pure sexual enjoyment in 30 seconds just by looking into your eyes." Then in 2015, director James Gunn of Guardians of the Galaxy fame did a live stream on Periscope, the video streaming app which has since been shut down as of 2020. Although any record of this session was quickly deleted, it's believed that Gunn made references to Leto's interactions with underage fans and called him an asshole. He quickly removed this video and posted on his Instagram afterwards, apologizing for his ambient-fueled Periscope session. In 2019, Dylan Sprouse, yes, Zach from The Sweet Life of Zach and Cody, randomly tweeted the following. "Yo, at Jared Leto, now that you've slid into the DMs of every female model aged 18 to 25, what will you say your success rate is?" Compounding this claim, James Gunn returned to respond to this with a now deleted tweet asking, "He starts at 18 on the internet?" Not quite sure what business Dylan's spouse has with approaching many of these same younger models.
Damn, James Gunn's on it.
But the implications against Leto are clear here. And although all of this surfaced in the midst of the Me Too movement, when allegations like this were beginning to get a lot more public attention, this accusation was merely a blip in the public's consciousness and went largely overlooked at the time. Despite the severity of many of these claims, all of these flew under the radar. But all of that changed in 2022 when Jared Leto presented the Grammy for Best Pop Vocal Album to Olivia Rodrigo, a seemingly innocuous gesture that prompted Twitter users to explode, warning the young Rodrigo to stay away from him and digging up old examples of Leto's creepy behavior around younger women. After the 64th Grammy Awards, where the two were pictured together, the dusty old allegations rose to the surface, and even more allegations were brought to light. Old and new alleged victims coming forward with their stories crafted a narrative of Leto's repeated behavior that reflected badly on the actor. Some of these accusations can easily be dismissed as people hopping on the bandwagon of everyone hating the actor. Others, it's more difficult to tell where the fan fiction about Leto ends and the actual allegations begin, with wannabe groupies and thirsty Tumblr girls muddying the waters with their elaborate pride fantasies about them and the actor. Ultimately, nothing is clear here, but the combination of all these allegations stacking up paints a picture that doesn't look too good for the actor, but we'll likely never know the truth of these victims. What we do know is that Leto for sure has a violent sexual side. He even sings about it in his music.
You can probably guess which lyrics I'm going to pick out of Up in the Air.
I don't know, surprise me.
I'll wrap my hands around your neck so tight with love, love, love.
Yeah.
Quite erotic.
Is it?
Tell us a little bit
It's
more.
funny that you would take it that way.
About.
Leto has never been one to shy away from forcing his twisted sexual nature in interviews.
Everything is about sex, except for sex. Sex is about power, right?
Yeah, only if you're a genuine psychopath. Although 30 Seconds to Mars was pretty successful, especially with the kill, the band never really dominated any particular genre or era. Many of their contemporary bands in that emo alt-rock scene of the early 2000s and 2010s included the likes of My Chemical Romance, Fall Out Boy, and Paramore, who all enjoyed similar success to Leto's band. But while those artists had a huge influence on future bands who took inspiration from their musical successes, 30 Seconds to Mars never quite had that lasting legacy, contrary to what their size might have suggested. But despite this lack of an enduring legacy, the band did grow a dedicated cult following known as the Echelon, taking their name from the similarly titled song off the band's self-titled debut record. The Echelon contains a core group of Leto's most devoted fans who refer to each other as a family, and follow the band from show to show on their tours. Like many stand groups, their dedication borders on matching the definition of cults, as a group or sect bound together by the veneration of the same thing, person or maker. And Jared definitely leans into the perception of them being a cult, often repeating the phrase, "Yes, this is a cult," apparently in response to a 2013 interview where journalists noted that even very early on, the band had a quite devoted cult-like following of fans.
I wasn't going to ask about this, but I heard you mention it right before the interview started. Yeah, Echelon, what is the deal with that? Sounds like an entourage?
It's no. That's actually a name that has been given to our most passionate fans out there, and they are a very, very unique group of people that really believe in 30 Seconds to Mars, and they travel from show to show to show, and it's the very core following that we have. Yes, it is a cult.
Comparisons with cult are exacerbated by the band's aesthetic imagery, with their logo very intentionally designed to look off-putting and esoteric. Their iconography is obviously inspired by the new religious movement of Wiccans, which use remarkably similar symbols. And the clearest illusion found within their logos is the centerpiece, an Illuminati-looking triangle, not trying to hide the culty vibes at all. Regardless of the genuineness behind this messaging, the band clearly implements a lot of rhetoric that's present in cult's brainwashing tactics. Leto plays into the us versus them dynamic, dismissing detractors' criticism by adopting the slogan, #you wouldn't understand, which almost all cults do to help keep their followers from listening to any messaging that comes from outside the cult. And none of this is helped by the fact that Jared literally looks like Jesus and dresses in robes during concerts. The band clearly realizes that people think they're a cult, and play up the rumors by giving them the image of a cult, complete with merch that has their phrase, "Yes, this is a cult," printed on it. Leto knows that he has a special fan base with the Echelon, and by leaning into this stand group of his, he stands to make a lot of money. In August of 2015, the band launched Camp Mars, a 3-night getaway vacation full of concerts and outdoor activities like rock climbing and archery, available for the most loyal fans willing to fork out thousands of dollars for a chance to get closer to Leto. The vacation was held in Malibu, California, advertising itself as a sort of summer camp, complete with hiking, yoga, meditation, and more. The prices for this experience started at around $1,000 for 2 nights, where you have to bring your own tent and supplies. Anything else is thousands extra. But fans of 30 Seconds to Mars are used to paying exorbitant prices, despite Leto declaring the band anti-greed back in 2013. Ironically, they've actually developed quite the reputation for fleecing their fans, charging up to $900 for their meet and greets, compared to the much more successful Rihanna, who only charges fans around $500 for her meet and greets. Beyond the summer camp activities, they offered 2 concert performances from the band, called the Church of Mars, where Leto leaned into the cult theories by performing in a cathedral with long, flowing robes. But rather than actually give the fans the show they signed up for, Leto decided to instead use the stage to preach to the audience. But the fans seemed to go along with their leader's change of plans. Adding fuel to the allegations of culty behavior, Leto started the tradition of wearing all white with his followers. Something else you'll notice about these photos that have surfaced is the remarkably high ratio of women to men at these events, subtly indicating that many of the fans might be going on these trips because Leto's a smoking hot heartthrob and sex symbol they're attracted to. That on its own doesn't necessarily mean there's anything weird happening on the vacations, but it's a concerning dynamic to be present at all. Although you might be listening to these descriptions of Camp Mars and getting flashbacks to the disaster that was Fire Festival hadn't happened yet, and the trip went extraordinarily well, making what was originally intended as a one-off event into an annual tradition. In 2019, the Camp Mars experience was taken a step further by the band, transforming it into Mars Island, due to the demand from the fans outside the US for a similar experience. In many ways, Mars Island was the more evolved, bigger version of Camp Mars, taking place on the private Adriatic island of Banyan in Croatia. According to the event's official description, for 3 days in late August, fans of the band are treated to an all-inclusive festival experience with yoga amongst the trees, where you can take a dip in the pool, catch a midnight screening or gaze at the stars, and catch 2 intimate performances with 30 seconds. Mars Island is an experience like no other. Once again, the prices are high for the Mars Island experience, with the cheapest package available costing around $1,000. But if you're willing to pay for a VIP package, that can cost you up to $7,000 for, quote, an exclusive VIP experience with Jared Leto himself. Guests of the vacation stay in air-conditioned tents that are able to accommodate up to 4 people with shared access to facilities like showers and bathrooms located near each camp. If you and your roommates want your own bathroom, though, you'll have to pay around $2,500 for that luxury. The retreat also offers extra amenities, such as massages for $76, tattoos, including ones you can get in honor of Leto or the band, for $83, as well as an additional night on the island for $470. But they're anti-greed, remember? I mean Jared said so. Continuing this tradition of dress-up from the Camp Mars days, photos surfaced of Leto with his fans all wearing the long, flowing white robes, prompting more comparisons with Rajneesh and raising questions about what cult gatherings are being held in the privacy of an island, hidden away from everyone else. So that's Jared Leto in a nutshell. And if you're wondering what he's up to these days, the band's still out there making music, and as far as we know, Mars Island is still a thing that's happening in a few months. I'm not quite sure what movies he's going to be in, but the last one he did that I'm aware of was Morbius back in 2022. He was also in some movie called Haunted Mansion back in 2023, and is set to star in the title role for the next upcoming movie for the Tron franchise in October. At the end of the day, despite the mounting allegations, Leto's career still remains unaffected. In a world where Hollywood is constantly blacklisting people for their political views and unproven allegations before they get their day in court, they decide to keep Jared Leto in their big blockbusters.
Damn.
Not to sound too conspiratorial, but it's interesting that the Hollywood machine shields certain individuals from the mountain of allegations against them, but others seem to get thrown to the wolves because of something as inconsequential as their politics. If you want clear evidence of the entertainment media running defense for Leto, look no further than how long these allegations have been out against him.
I need one more, man.
We've heard whispers about this since 2005, but people only started to uncover the full picture after he gave Olivia Rodrigo that Grammy. Look, whether you believe all the victims in this story, you have to recognize that most people tend to latch on to any rumors they hear, and the fact that it all went ignored when even celebrities called him out for allegedly being a sexual predator speaks to a level of ignorance that usually derives from some sort of cover-up. Many of the accusations against Leto are probably exaggerated, and I personally don't see much concrete truth to a lot of the things that are said about him, even if I'm suspicious of his behavior. I won't say he belongs in a jail cell just yet, but I wouldn't exactly be shocked if in a few years we find out that, metaphorically speaking, he went to the Diddy parties. Some of the behavior that we've seen from him towards women is pretty disgusting just on its own. That being said, I don't think there's an actual cult there. He certainly has an excessively devoted fan base, I'll grant you that. But many artists have a bit of a cult following. He's not unique in this. Hell, The Darkness has a ridiculously dedicated group of stans that slobber over everything Justin Hawkins does. But it's obvious that they're not an actual cult or anything strange like that. Owning a private island likely isn't a Jeffrey Epstein reference either, and I don't think the Mars Island experience includes free trafficked kids. So just to wrap up here, Jared Leto is at best a weird guy and at worst a certified diddler. As it usually does, the truth probably lies somewhere in between. Just where exactly that is, we may never know. Alright, well, that's the video. Thank you so much for sticking around to the end. It really means a lot, and while you're here, you might as well like the video if you like the video. Comment down below, and subscribe if you want to see more of this type of content. Once again, thank you for watching this far. I've only just started the channel, so I'm very new to this, and I genuinely do want your honest feedback. What kind of videos do you want to see from me in the future? Which subject should I focus on more? Have some ideas? Leave a comment down below. I also have a bunch of other long-ass videos posted, so feel free to binge those if you've been enjoying this content. It would really mean a lot. Also check out my Twitter and other things when I log in and actually set them up. Check on the community tab here on YouTube, lots of updates coming at you, so stay tuned for that. Until next time, don't get diddled by a celebrity, or Leto'd for that matter.
Stay away from Diddy. How about that?
Allegedly. Anyways, Godspeed.
Alright, what else do we got? Pump Fun from Crypto to Shizzo. That was a good video, man. He needs to drop more videos. 32 subs, 3 videos. My boy, you gotta drop some shit, man. That's a good video. I like it. We need more.
Alright, y'all. Welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Goods, XY, Big C. We back in the building, man. Listen, so DJ Academics and a whole bunch of other guys, which people have been in the chat calling them the culture vultures. Bunch of you guys got together in a group and they started talking about hip-hop. Now they're calling themselves Kings of Hip-Hop Media. Boy, if you don't... Yeah, all in one room together. This is a very interesting bunch, but these guys got together and Ak and Whack 100 started talking about Drake and how Drake must feel being basically bullied by Kendrick Lamar.
I ain't gonna lie, I'm getting cooked.
And obviously, we all know what happened here. Academics felt a need to defend him to the very death.
Hey, yo! Drake being so stressed out about Kendrick's success, he canceled his tour.
What? No, he's not. Yo, Drake FaceTimed me last night. He's in Houston.
Oh, he canceled the tour, bro. We saw
Yo,
it.
Drake called me last night.
What are you not talking about last night? We saw it.
It was poorly routed.
No,
right?
no. Ain't no routing. You'll prove your routing before you leave. You talking to a yo. How do you...
Notice how now, these days, Academics has to constantly remind people that Drake calls him. They gotta constantly remind people, like, Drake FaceTimed me last night. He was in Houston just kicking it. So this basically shows why you are so biased in the things that you do. You have made it your sole mission to defend this man, that he FaceTime calls you just to check up on the progress. Like, what's going on with the narrative campaign? Like, you doing what you're supposed to be doing? Yes, sir, Drake. Yes, sir. We posted a couple things today, you know, letting people know that, you know, Kendrick lost the battle. And we're definitely trying to show everybody that you're superior, sir. Okay, continue on.
You feel about him being so stressed out? that shit when you be on your live.
Let's
so
talk
now
manager.
we hear live and direct.
Let's talk manager.
How do you feel about Drake being so stressed out
I think Top
that he
Dog
canceled his
thought that.
tour
I think Top
for the
Dog
Kendrick success?
Top Dog.
Say it again.
Top Dog.
Say it again.
He called in the favor to say, why? You can't be that neutral no more on social because you were so neutral at first. Now it's all Kendrick, West up. It's all that.
He's a rat.
The idea of academics talking about anybody being neutral at this point.
She's married, but she's fired.
Talk to him, Aubrey. I feel like academics made a very miscalculated move where he just decided to, choose a side and be very one-sided. And I think he fought way too hard for that side, and he has to die on that hill, But hey, him speaking about somebody being neutral is comedy, pure comedy.
No, who?
Drake's a rat.
How?
He blew the whistleblower.
Wait, so let me ask you a question.
lawsuit?
No, let me ask you a question.
Ain't no lawsuit,
Suing your record, suing your record label's a rat?
Bro.
And this is the narrative that they continuously try to spew that I hate so much, man. Suing your record label's a rat? Like, bro, that's not what everybody's talking about. He's suing the record label. Yes, he's suing the record label for the optics of it because he does not want to sue directly the people he actually wants to sue. Like, come on, man. It's not rocket science, man. Like, what are we talking about? Like, they definitely be trying it, but we ain't gonna be stupid and naive out here.
You're a manager. No, you're a manager. So if Interscope didn't pay out everything they owed to the game, or Geffen actually, or let's say Top, whatever he's released, if he's sued them, is he a rat?
I was gonna let you get up out of here without us politicking this.
Hold on. Is that a rat?
Ryder! Did you watch what UMG said? Let's touch on this. The first important thing UMG said was because UMG said this. Because Drake lost the rap battle to Kendrick. UMG said this.
Okay.
Right?
How does that? You said a rat.
We released his songs.
This is how he put you in a trick
We
bag.
released his songs when he said all the heinous things about Kendrick. Kendrick said nothing.
But how is he a rat? You
I'm
gotta
gonna tell
explain
you.
the rat. You ain't get there yet.
When you
This is what Wack does.
When you start talking federal offenses, payola, that's ratting.
Yeah, I mean, I don't always agree with Wack shit, but Wack is definitely right here. I mean, in the sense that when you got in the lawsuit, he feared for his life, his home was shot up, and, you're basically saying that these things happen as a direct result of Not Like Us. And also in there, you're hinting that somebody is involved in that. Like when you go on there, you file this paperwork, it's definitely getting to the side of ratting. Especially when you're talking about something that definitely, most possibly, strongly we believe that it has benefited you. Like you have benefited from all the things that you're trying to accuse them of doing for Kendrick. And now that you're not like the golden child anymore, you want to kick and scream and sue?
I'm gonna sue.
It's insane to me, man. It's insane to me that people can't see this, but actually we understand where academics is coming from because academics loves him. That's his man.
That's mine. I'm gonna stick with that.
He gonna stick by him.
You talking about this very same thing that helped you climb the ladder. Now it's a problem.
Hold on. Can I make a hold on?
Bro,
and I want
Joseph Isgo's a close friend of mine. He did 10 years in the feds for payola.
You're using weird street
This
rules.
a fact.
You're using weird street rules for this. Hold on. Let me ask the question. Let me ask the question. If
Down. Hell,
payola.
And Vlad again, this is Godfather over here. And I would never expose any of our conversation. But
This is such a crazy group of individuals. Like this is so crazy. Oh man, like we're talking about a snitching conversation. We gonna ask Vlad about. All right.
let me just ask you a question, because I think you might have some experience. If an employee sues an employer to say, hey, listen, I worked certain hours, I was supposed to get compensated based on over.
That's not the conversation. We see where this is going. We see where they're gonna try to spin this. This is not. This is what they do. This is the spin. That's not the conversation. The conversation is not about somebody not getting paid a certain amount of money. That's not what we're talking about. Drake pretty much got paid whatever his contract said he was supposed to get paid. He got paid. We're not talking about Drake not getting paid. Drake is literally suing over a diss track and accusing these stations of payola, which is a criminal offense. Let that sink in.
For time, but you didn't.
Right.
So I wasn't paid the adequate amount. So and maybe they approach the person and said they don't want to pay it, so they sue them. Is that ratting?
Bro, what are you talking about, man?
That's a whole different situation, though. See, you're being disingenuous. You're giving a whole different scenario that does not apply to what your guy is doing.
That's not ratting. No. So you saying that Drake's suing UMG? How is that ratting?
They just want to be loud and stupid and wrong, bro. Like, what? See?
I need to watch that whole fucking episode. It's like the fucking...
See?
Justified a million different lawsuits over the years, including street dudes. For some reason, this one is ratting.
Because, okay, let me ask
Top
you
dog send the kite. That's what happened.
The best argument against it is that it's against the spirit of hip-hop, not that it's ratting.
Let me tell y'all gangster our gangster is. We ain't even got to tell each other. We know what to do. Check this out. So you telling me right now, I'm really like you telling me, the very same tools that was used, catapult Drake, he never said nothing about it. Now he's saying payola, a federal offense. Joseph Israel, Googling. He's one of the last. He's one of the last Gambino family members standing.
Bingo.
He broke Michael Jackson.
Adam, shut the fuck up, man.
I like turtles. All right.
Bingo.
The federal 5.
Through the means of payola. They gave him 10 years in the feds
You have
for
a point
payola.
there. I'm giving you a point
Come
there.
on, bro.
Hold on. I'm giving you a point to say,
Yo,
could we make
outside?
can we make an argument
Hey,
that
bro, let's Top Dog and Kendrick in here. I got a surprise for you. Oh, we're not playing. Let's Top and Kendrick.
they're not harmful.
What?
No, Drake wanna catch
I was going to do that.
No, Drake wanna catch
I was going to do that.
See, this is why I don't understand what Act be talking big shit, man, and don't be nowhere, bro.
Get off, then you know it wasn't painless. You gotta watch, then you know it's not a stainless.
Talk to him, Aubrey.
And you out here talking about they not harmful? All right, play the games if you want. Play stupid games with stupid prizes.
They're not harmful. No, Drake wanna catch
I was going to do that. It's more believable.
Yeah, all right, yeah. It took it right back. These people, man, they don't come outside enough to know that they can get touched. He probably realized, yo, I'm not in my basement right now. Damn, let me not say that.
I hit a J3 was here just because I thought it'd be a little more believable.
I hit a J3.
You a little nervous being in LA?
Nah. No, being here. Like here, I'm like, yo,
Get your head in with his gun.
from jail. He called me before you.
Wait,
guaranteed.
He's coming home?
No, he called me before you.
No, I talked to him last night.
He thinks you lined him up. I ain't gonna say too much. He think I had him lined
I
up.
talked to him last night.
I talked to him last night too. I guarantee you.
First question he asked me, how'd last night's episode do?
Can I ask?
He's still counting views from behind the wall.
The first thing he said to me,
That's crazy.
Isn't that crazy?
That's
the first thing he
crazy
said to
right
me,
there.
you the only person who I could trust to put out a statement.
Oh, he's a snake.
Not tweet that out.
You should trust me.
Hell nah.
I think Academics is basically on a campaign out here to protect Drake at all costs. And we already know this. And watching all these people band together, obviously Adam is a Drake apologist as well. Whack 100, I don't know what he does often, but it does seem like he more talks about the rational things about it, you know, that makes sense. And pretty much right now, the rational thing to really look at and understand as fact is that Kendrick destroyed Drake in this battle. And Drake has been doing a lot of things that people can look at and be like, yo, you spiraling right now. And it's very obvious. It's nothing that's hidden. It's not like it's stuff that people can't see. Everybody can see that the man is spiraling. And, you know, it is what it is. We all know this is fact. And these guys are going to continue to try to, you know, spin the narrative. And the narrative right now that they're spinning is that this is not snitching, that there's nothing wrong with this because he's suing his label. Everybody's going to try to make this seem like something that Drake is doing for the betterment of artists out there, for small artists out there, helping them out, helping them, you know, get what they deserve, which is payment or whatever the case is. And with Academics, you know, saying the stuff that he said about, you know, if your record label didn't pay you and they didn't do that right there is just a clear indication of somebody who's trying to spin the story. We're talking about payola, a federal offense. We're talking about, you know, implications that, you know, that side had something to do with people running up in your crib and shooting outside of your crib. Like, these are all things that are in the lawsuit that if you read, you can clearly see, clear as day. So to me, yes, this is a bitch-made move, and it's never gonna be a move that I respect. I don't think it's gonna be a move that anybody respects, but it is what it is, man. These guys getting together to me is comical. It is what it is. Obviously, they should get together to help each other out, but I don't know. The name Kings of Hip Hop what is it? Hip hop content or culture? I don't know, man. Them putting that as the title is hilarious to me. Kings of Hip Hop Media is insane. I mean, this is a very interesting group, man. But hey, y'all let me know how y'all feel about the video, man. Let me know how you feel about this group. How do you feel like about this group banding up together? How do you feel like how you feel about the angles that are being taken with all this, man? Let me know in the comments. Listen, if you have not subscribed, make sure you hit that subscribe button and violate that like button. It's your boy. It's your boy Good.
Got my foot up on the gas, but somebody gotta do it.
يوم طويل ما عم يجيني نوم مرتزقة بيفيقوا على الفجر طيب
Be advised, threats are moving. Ultra One, you've got hostile reinforcements incoming. Mierda.
Special forces aquí.
I'm running for my life.
Expect contact. active. Ultra One, activity has increased in the area. Keep your eyes open.
Special Forces marked. ايه يا اخي هادي هون يا اخي
Oh, it sucks so bad.
There's increased enemy activity. Ultra One, you got hostile reinforcements.
That's a nice clutch.
Be advised, hostile active. Ultra One, we're stay sharp.
Let's get out of here, dude. Insane. Oh my god. Let's run like a bitch. Where y'all at, boys? Turn these on.
Reinforcements incoming.
I got a cat, now I don't have to fucking worry about that.
Ultra One, actual. Comms reestablished. Extract.
Oh, might be done. I just gotta get these fucking chemicals out of the way. This shit sucks, dude.